Welcome everybody to the show that we have. That show. What's it called again?
Super Bowl Saturday?
Can they even afford to pay me to do this show? I don't know! Legend of the Stars of the... God, I'll keep my shirt on though.
Yeah, that's good for the audience. The viewing audience at home. Yeah.
But we're back!
Hello,
And
viewing
we're
audience at home.
better than ever. This is Spinebuster episode 2.4. Like the Horsemen, but only half of them because there's only two of us.
That's true. I have a horseman picture back here somewhere. But
So they're over there.
Yeah.
They're hiding behind Ken.
Yeah. The horsemen are hiding behind me.
Which reminds me, this is Ken, and I'm
Hi.
Derek.
How's it going, everybody? We're here for...
Smooth.
Yeah. We're here. We are your masters of introductions, as you guys know. Those of you who have watched the show before, listened to the show before. And where can they listen to the show, Derek?
They can listen to the show. Are you ready for this?
Huh?
At Blog Talk Radio.
As some of you are probably doing right now, and you're
Right
like,
now.
well, obviously, I'm on the site right now. Where can they watch the show?
They can watch the show in a couple of places.
All right.
Now don't let
Not
that
just
blow
one,
your mind.
not just one.
Like 2 whole places.
Whoa, that's like more than one.
That is.
Whoa,
That's
crazy.
like twice as many as
That is
one.
exactly twice as many as
Whew.
one.
You can watch it on our Facebook page,
Hey, there you
which
go.
is at Spinebuster Show.
Facebook.com/Spinebuster Show.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
the Spinebuster Show, just Spinebuster Show.
Spinebuster Show.
Yeah.
Or you can go to YouTube.
Yeah.
You can look us up on the tube of you.
That's right.
And again, we're Spinebuster Show.
We are still the Spinebuster Show. After all these episodes, we are still here. And today, we're bringing you a very exciting episode, because today we're going to talk about, our usual mix. We got some wrestling news, got some wrestling views, and...
The biggest thing.
The biggest thing.
I didn't even talk about it to put it on our notes.
Ah, man.
Do you know what it is?
What is it?
We are like a week, rewind it, last week.
Yep.
Last week was our 1 year anniversary from the
Hey,
first episode of
there you go.
Spinebuster.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
made it. We made it
Yeah.
a year. Hey,
So
there you
happy
go.
anniversary, all you
Excellent.
Spinebusterinos out there.
Thanks for sticking with us, all like 5 of you. It's awesome to see you guys still around. And to all our new fans who don't even, know our last season.
Don't even know it existed, maybe?
Yeah,
It's also on Blog Talk Radio.
It's true. But now we are going forward in a new year. This is the new year.
New year, new you.
And I don't feel any difference.
Or me.
Or you.
Or
Or us. New us.
New us.
New us. Welcome to the new us. And for this new us, we're going to be talking about some new news.
Yeah, new news.
News is always new.
Super new. Well,
why it's news.
okay, moderately new.
Yeah.
Because we only do bi-weekly, so you probably already heard. But if you didn't,
Huh?
there's a new mayor in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Whoa.
He
Crazy.
goes by the name of Kane.
It's gotta be Kane!
Oh my God, it's just gotta be
The
Kane.
new Mayor Kane.
It was great. He did his acceptance speech with his theme music. The only thing that was missing was the mask and flames.
I thought you were going to say Katie Vick, and I was really, yeah.
No, that was not missed.
Ah.
I mean, it was missing, but nobody missed it.
It was missing. It was. Or maybe it was the hurricane,
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
The hurricane wasn't there.
He wasn't.
What's up with that?
Who knows?
The hurricane, I believe, is currently wrestling in ROH, I believe.
I don't think the hurricane would support Kane.
Probably not.
I don't think they have the same political ideas.
Probably not.
But
they
that's
were a tag team.
that's news for another show.
That's true.
We'll schedule that one under next Neverary.
There we are. A great time. in the great year 1990 never.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's about when I decide that we're going to dive into politics on this show.
There we go. That's a really wise thing. So the only politics we're going to dive into today is congratulations to Mayor Kane. Great job. Good to see another member of the wrestling community out there.
I love it when those guys do stuff after their wrestling days.
It's always nice.
This has effectively ended Kane's wrestling days.
Which is weird because we just had the reformation of Team Hell No like a month ago, and they just fought at a pay-per-view, and I believe Kane was injured during that, but sort of
that
lost
was
the match.
That was actually one of my favorite parts of. I didn't watch. It sounds like I watched the acceptance speech. I really didn't. It was live streamed on Facebook, and I spent more time reading the comments that people were making underneath the live stream.
Okay.
There was some wrestling fan out there who was typing about Kane's broken foot. It was like, oh my God, the Bludgeon Brothers really broke his foot. See, he's wearing that cast.
Yeah. Sometimes kayfabe gets in the way of real life, it really does. And sometimes real life gets in the way of, kayfabe.
It was cute.
Yeah.
It was cute.
You know, we've heard a couple comments like that recently about releasing the kayfabe, but, you know, well, that's for another episode.
It is.
Yeah, congrats to Kane. Harkens back to the days of one Governor Jesse Ventura, you know.
One of my other favorites.
Oh, man. Good times, old Jesse. Jesse's one of my favorite politicians of all time. He's a little insane, but that's okay. He's, you know.
Yeah. He's a little out there.
I don't necessarily agree with really anything he believes in, but but it's fun.
I appreciate his out there-ness.
Yeah, he's just enough out there, and he commentated for the original XFL, and I appreciate that too.
That was cool.
You
that
know,
was cool.
Real football.
His show off the grid, I always enjoyed that.
Is that the conspiracy theory thing?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can't really have Jesse Ventura without conspiracy theories nowadays.
It's not the one where they went around investigating things.
Okay.
It's the one he did after that. I can't remember what the name of that one was. The one where they investigated the conspiracies.
Isn't it simply conspiracy theories, stuff like that? Or
it could have been that.
I want to say
he had like
Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theories.
Yeah, he had a son on it.
Okay.
And the other girl, they do the Watching the Hawks newscast. I apparently follow them way too closely.
I'm sure, yeah. You know, hey, someone's got to. So it's Jesse Ventura. You know, it's all good. It's Jesse Ventura. It's all good. But is it all in?
I don't think he's all in.
No, he should be all in. That'd be a heck of an appearance.
That would be amazing if he was
Jesse
all in.
Ventura shows up. I mean, they do have a star-studded list, but
that would be great.
Absolutely. But anyway, speaking of all in, the perhaps the biggest independent wrestling show, maybe of all time, maybe, is going to be shown on pay-per-view. We're going to get to see All In. Derek's thinking about Jesse Ventura being at All In right now.
I am. My imagination's running wild, brother.
He could show up at StarCast, like everyone's showing up at that, so, you know, everyone from JR to Sean Mooney to DDP.
Oh, Sean Mooney's going to be there?
Yeah, all these people. Yeah. But anyway, All In's going to be on PPV. We can actually watch it.
Yeah. And you can too.
That's right.
And do you know how they can watch it, Ken?
Why no, Derek? How can we watch it?
You can watch it on the Fight app.
Yes.
The Fight TV app.
That's right.
That's FITE.
That's right.
Fight TV app.
Yep.
It's the first hour is going to be on like the WGN network or something like that, is what I read.
Which is out of Chicago, so that makes sense.
Yep. And then the rest of the show, for one easy payment of $39.99, can come straight to your cellular device, or probably there's an app on Xbox or something that you can watch it on your TV. I don't know. I have it on my phone. I don't have it anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
$39.99.
Yeah.
You too can be all in.
That's right. You can listen to the vocal stylings of Ian Riccaboni, commentator for Ring of Honor Wrestling.
Okay.
He's an awesome guy. I met him. And my favorite personality in wrestling.
What was that last name again? Riccaboni?
Riccaboni. Ian Riccaboni.
All right.
And my favorite personality in wrestling, Mr. Don Callis, Cyrus the Virus, the savior of wrestling.
He's amazing.
He's amazing. He also will be commentating for All In. So, but yeah, one of the biggest indie wrestling shows ever, featuring an NWA title match of all things, because why wouldn't you have that at the biggest indie show ever?
Absolutely.
You know, it's in Chicago, a great wrestling town.
One that WWE's been neglecting.
Extremely much so. We'd love to see a WrestleMania there, not since WrestleMania 22.
We would like to see almost any event there, aside for Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
Stop giving us Extreme Rules.
Seriously.
We don't care.
I think the last one we got before that was Money in the Bank 2011.
I think so.
Yeah. Money in the Bank 2011.
That one.
Yeah, that was the last Chicago show I think that was not Extreme Rules. And Extreme Rules, you know, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It's not
the last
good.
one wasn't very extreme.
No, they haven't been in like 10 years.
No. Slammiversary was extreme.
That was very extreme, yeah. Oh. And that was in Toronto. Yeah.
Don't. No.
Yeah.
No. You know. Not Toronto.
Toronto.
No.
Yeah.
Boo the Rock.
Yeah.
They booed the Rock.
They do boo the Rock. It's true. Yep. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yeah.
You did. You know you did, Toronto.
Look up the Rock in Toronto on YouTube if you get a chance, guys. Anyway.
Maybe I'll share those.
One of my favorite promos of all time.
That was great.
So darn good.
Great.
But anyway, yeah, All In, making a big impact there is... and
that's where we're from. I'm from Toronto.
Shut up. So good. Anyway, The Rock, not The Rock. The Rock is not going to be at All In. Maybe he will be. That'd be something else. No, The Rock...
He did say he was looking forward to getting back in the ring.
You know, Rock's trying to get to WrestleMania. We'll see how that works, but maybe he'll fight Eric Rowan for 5 seconds again. But,
Elias.
you know.
Elias and a concert off.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I may actually enjoy something at WrestleMania in that case. We'll
Yeah.
have to see.
That needs to happen.
Yeah. But anyway, All In's happening, and the kind of sort of sequential news coming out of that, not directly from that, but some of the same parties, is another rather large, I guess you could say independent show, not really independent, but a conglomeration, if you will, of two of the biggest wrestling companies in the world right now who are not WWE. But, get this, they are doing a show at the most famous arena in the world, WWE's arguably home arena, Madison Square Garden.
MSG.
Not only are they doing the MSG show, they are doing it the night before WrestleMania. They are going head-to-head with TakeOver Brooklyn, and these companies are Ring of Honor Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling, teaming up for a show.
Technically, is Impact sort of there? Because they kind of share guys, too.
They are starting to.
So, I mean...
They are starting to.
There's Impact presence, but not necessarily a name value.
That is true. They're getting more and more. They're on the Chris Jericho cruise now. Impact is as well.
Yes, they are. Which I still wish I was going on.
Yeah, I know. On the same token, just to mention that as well, we'll get back to the MSG show in a second. But for what you just mentioned, the Chris Jericho cruise, we have ROH, we have Impact. Huge match announced for the Chris Jericho cruise. I just want to touch on briefly because we're going to be talking about some tag team wrestling sometime soon. Maybe on the show. And there's a tag team match that got signed that I'm super intrigued to see, and it almost makes me wish I was on the Chris Jericho cruise.
I asked everybody I knew, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I said almost. But the match in question is the Young Bucks versus LAX. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, not old LAX, the OGs. If we're talking about the newer LAX, the newer, younger LAX versus the Young Bucks.
So you're not interested in Alpha Club versus Bullet Club?
Oh, I'm interested in that too.
No,
but there is apparently, this match apparently is going down, and
it's going down for real.
That's what I heard. So there's apparently a lot of things.
Hopefully the ship doesn't go down.
The ship going down would be a really bad thing. You know,
that would be a bad thing.
So basically, lots of really good indie news coming out. Derek's getting random texts in the middle of our show.
Yeah, that was a phone call that I probably have to take.
There you go.
Which is interesting.
So that's interesting. So these are the things that happen on an unedited show. You see, Derek gets random phone calls.
How to do that? Well, let's see.
There you go.
Let me see if I can do it this way. You do your thing.
All
I'll
right.
just sit here and look pretty.
So anyway, just to get back to the MSG show, just kind of some of the impact of the indies as Derek steps off camera for a second. It's a heck of a time to be a wrestling fan, guys, because indie wrestling right now, it's been huge for a while. Companies like ROH really made sure of that indie wrestling has stayed in the spotlight for a long time. What's kind of cool now is we're seeing it not just as a niche product. It's still there, but there's more to it than that. It's becoming more respected, and you're seeing a lot of those guys out there who have been, really tilling the soil for years. Guys like Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, guys who are out there now in WWE and who were in TNA previously, guys who have really made a name for themselves on the indie scene, which is interesting if you think about it. Because back in the day, WWE didn't even acknowledge that indie wrestling existed. It basically didn't to them. It was a foreign concept. And now they're really showing that indie wrestling matters. And it always has to those of us who have watched it over the years. But it's really interesting to see that transition where it's becoming a part of the wrestling landscape that now WWE's taken that interest as well. So now that we're having a little competition between the companies, so to speak, not a real competition, I guess, but ticket buys for attendees in New York on WrestleMania weekend of all times, now we end up seeing where this will go and how big indie wrestling really has gotten. Let's see if they will sell out MSG. I'm curious.
That was fun.
So, Derek has rejoined us.
Hey, everybody.
So, welcome back, Derek.
I hope I didn't miss much. I'm sure Ken kept you all fairly entertained.
Hopefully. Our 5 viewers are still there, hopefully.
Whew, they're diehards.
There we go. I tell you what, man, they just love us. So, how's everything?
We're staying alive.
All right, very good. So while you were gone, we just discussed some indie wrestling, talking about the impact of it nowadays, including Impact Wrestling. Live on Pop TV, Thursday nights.
That's right.
8 o'clock.
That's right. It's one of the reasons why I'm excited about the potential that I'm exploring about the possibility of getting Cable back.
That was a lot of qualifiers there.
It was.
Okay.
It was. I just wanted to put that out there,
Uh-huh.
so people aren't thinking that like next week I'm going to be on the boards of Facebook and posting all the stuff about the wrestling I'm watching.
Uh-huh.
But at some point in the future, I probably will be doing that.
Yeah.
And Impact will be one of those shows that I would be talking about because
Yeah.
Impact's looking pretty good lately.
A lot of interesting things going on in Impact right now. I briefly mentioned them in that discussion there, but at the behest of leaving any companies out, Impact's really doing some interesting work right now. And I think that again, Don Callis having a big impact on that at the moment. But
including what's his face? His friend
Scott D'Amore,
that guy,
Canadian Bacon, yeah,
that guy.
Scott D'Amore, Sanjay Dutt, Abyss, Jimmy Jacobs. All these guys are having this large. I gotta quit saying impact because it's could be an old joke pretty soon, but it's true. They're having a large impact on Impact, so I love that. And they're on the Jericho cruise. They're probably going to be at All In. Moose is at All In. I know that, and probably might be more guys coming to it. So that's pretty cool.
All I'm thinking of are these puns about Impact and Pop.
And all that reminds me of is TNN. We've got Pop. Remember that? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Little old school right there. So, shall we shift this conversation? Derek's back. Let's talk a little bit about about the shifting scene a little bit out there with the indies and such.
Little bit of your scene shifting.
Scene shifting. And one interesting thing that's coming out of this whole, I don't want to call it an indie revolution. That sounds like some stupid WWE buzz term, but whatever.
Yeah, it sounds like there's, I don't want to say like a takeover.
Yeah.
Because
that's also a WWE
because
buzz term.
that's like an NXT pay-per-view
Yeah.
thing. Wow, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like there's like a
It's just a renaissance.
Like a renaissance.
A
Yeah,
renaissance,
like a renaissance.
if you will. Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like renaissance.
So, with the indie renaissance, if
Yeah.
you will, WWE is
Renaissance?
renaissance.
What's that like French?
Maybe.
The Renaissance.
Like Jacques and Pierre. Renaissance. Yeah.
And there's our Quebec.
There's our Quebec reference that we'll get to them later too. Anyway, so maybe, possibly. You never
Who
know.
knows?
Spoilers. Anyway, the WWE right now, WWE occasionally does just really funny things where they seem so behind the times while they're trying to be in the times. And a big example of that came this last week when, honestly, it's been going on for a couple of years now, but WWE, as any of you guys who actually watch the show, not me, not Brock Lesnar, their champion, he doesn't watch the show. He said that on Raw this last 2 weeks ago. The folks watching the show will notice that roster is ridiculously packed right now. Like, insanely packed. They have a ton of talent there. They have zero idea how to use 99% of it, but they have tons of talent. And they have been talking a lot lately, it's been in the news a lot, about WWE having interest in a lot of these indie guys who have been, some of whom have already been to WWE. The biggest example of that was our buddy Juice Robinson. Juice, who, I'll be frank, was just god-awful in NXT for his wrestling skills. His character was kind of fun, but
I loved his character.
His character was fun. He didn't seem to care about it very much, and in interviews with him, he just, he tried to make it work, but his name was C.J. Parker.
Well, his name sucked.
That was Pamela Anderson's name on Baywatch.
Yes, it was.
Fun fact. Yeah, fun fact.
Yes, it was.
Yep. So
now that you mention it,
yeah. So that wasn't getting over. Unless he was Pam Anderson. But,
Juice Robinson with that gimmick sounds like a match made in heaven.
And Juice, to his credit, has gotten so much better. And now WWE suddenly, there's rumors out there they're interested in Juice Robinson. They already had Juice Robinson.
But, do we know that anybody's actually confirmed those rumors?
Juice himself has addressed them.
I know he did.
Yeah.
And I guess if I were him, I probably would address them as well.
Yeah. And Juice is one of those interesting cases. He's like a Kenny Omega, where he is so, or Tama Tonga, he's been in the news lately too, where they're so just happy where they're at, having the freedom to do the things that they're doing in New Japan, ROH, anywhere else at this point in time, in Kenny's case, and being able to just not be under that WWE system, that WWE style, under their thumb. That's interesting. And
under their thumb.
I was waiting. I set that up for you there. Mick Jagger is rolling in his grave, and he's not dead. So there you go.
True.
Yeah. Keith Richards is somehow not dead either, but
Maybe he bought a gravesite just so he could roll around in it.
you know, and I can see Mick Jagger doing that. He has a lot of money. It's
At some point, you run out of things to do with it.
yeah. I mean, Keith Richards is basically an animated zombie, so he's he's still around somehow. So Rolling Stones, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so yeah, they're interested in Juice Robinson. They've also been interested in Pentagon Jr. in Phoenix, who we discussed a show or two ago, who have been like ripping it up pretty much everywhere. They're in Lucha Underground, they're in Impact, they're in MLW, they're in a bunch of places. They're in All In. They're in all these different places.
They are also all in.
Yeah.
Man, what a poker match that's going to be. Everybody's all in.
They're all in. Everything's on the line. One hand. That's it. One hand. No, only one will survive.
Everybody went all in on the,
Yep.
on the blind. They,
Yeah.
they don't even care.
They don't care.
Reckless abandon.
Cero miedo. That's right.
Yeah,
There we
exactly.
are. So
Exactly.
Pentagon's got it right, you know. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see the new the trends going on right now in wrestling, and I hope this is my personal hope. Now, this disclaimer. I am a huge fan of wrestlers being able to support their families, getting a good livable wage, you know, not having to, you know, toil away forever. But
I'm not.
you're not. You want people to suffer.
I want them all to suffer.
Okay, that's very kind of you. So, but
I just thought it was weird that was the way you phrased it.
Yes.
Like, I'm for them, you know.
But in fact, I prefer these guys to never go to WWE. I prefer that. I would rather be able to enjoy these guys with the skills that they have. I'd like to be able to watch those skills, because that's why I watch wrestling. I don't watch it for the WWE system. I don't really care about the WWE system. I care about what these guys care about. I care about what they put out there. Their athletic skill, if it's their storytelling, their interviews, whatever their skill set is. I want to see that, and I don't want to see it watered down by the system, the universe. The more you know. Star, yeah, rainbow. Yeah. So that's where I'm at on it. So again, I want guys to have a good living, whatever. If they're going to WWE because of that, that's unfortunate, but you know, we'll see where it goes. So
How are we 4 episodes in and I don't have a microphone?
well, you see, that's a valid question. You see, this show is done on essentially zero budget, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I just said, you know,
I mean, I have
Sarah,
microphones, but I never have one
yeah.
for me to, like, talk into, like this pencil.
Do I just hold one, get like
I feel like I need to.
get like the Miz microphone, like a D on it or something?
Yeah.
Have that.
I feel like I'm missing a little pop, and like I feel like
we have
if
beer,
I had
we
that,
have
we
pop,
do have
I
that.
you know,
let me
some-
get the logo.
I got some
Get the
Rod-
logo out there for all those peeps
Our friends at Rochester Mills Brewing Company. Yeah.
watching it on the tube of you.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like my opinions would mean more if I had a microphone.
You know, I doubt that, but
So, I think that's how it works.
you know.
Every opinion is more important when set into a microphone.
Aha. Well then.
Google it. That's a thing you can Google, and you'll find out that I'm right.
Well, we do happen to have computers in front of us right now. So, you
Not
know,
right now. We don't want to.
Not right now. Okay.
We don't want to derail the show. Here.
Some other time. This show
We
is
don't
totally not
wanna
derailed.
Derail the show. 'Cause
Ah, ha, ah, ah. You know what else could really derail a show?
I kill me.
Derek killing him. Yes, that would derail the show. Don't do that.
A random Elf reference.
Yeah, that would really derail the show. But
The
no,
train would also derail the show.
it would. Might derail the train. But what would really derail the show would be, say, an invading organization, like,
What?
you know, a stable, you know, perhaps a new world order. You
If
know?
I totally had the ability, I would now like make the screen on the YouTube version go fuzzy
That'd be
and turn
great.
to black and white,
Oh, that'd be stupid.
and we do like the next, 2 minutes in
Yeah.
black and white.
That's right. So, you know, the following discussion has been paid for by the New World Order.
Yeah.
The New World Order, they've been in the news lately.
They have been.
Yeah.
There's been these crazy rumors and innuendo that.
Innuendo, you say?
Innuendo.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's getting saucy, folks. Wow.
Yeah, it's all out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in too.
Mm.
They're don't mock the innuendo.
The innuendo.
Yeah. Where do you think they saw those cameras at?
Uh-huh.
Innuendo.
I'm sure.
At the Hulk Hogan's beach shop. They look innuendo
They
when
looked
saw
innuendo?
they saw
Very
the
good.
NWO in there
Uh-huh.
with the cameras rolling.
Yeah.
Hogan had the black beard.
Yeah, they'll paint it on beard.
With
Yeah.
the handlebar mustache.
Yeah. So what we're thinking here is the NWO might be
in your window.
It might be in your. Oh, I hope they're not. Gosh, we had like.
Well, they bring in your house back.
NWO in your house. I would love for In Your House to come back.
That would be great.
Oh, man,
only if they give away a house again.
They have to. I mean, now with WWE's money, I think they give away their mansion if they wanted to. They won't, but they could.
But yeah. So yeah, there's talk that there's some big announcement. Hogan's even has a counter on his website, counting down to this big decision, which was supposed to be like October 27th, I think.
Okay.
And so all the peoples, all the internet bloggers.
It's the French version of bloggers.
Yeah. They're running around talking about like an NWO reunion, which doesn't make sense because they're old.
They are rather old.
So let's be real, guys.
Yeah.
The NWO is not coming back to fight nobody.
No.
But what could happen, and what I'm open to talking about,
with a really high voice,
with a super high voice, that just adds to the speculative nature.
I hear that. I can hear the speculation. Can you hear the speculation?
Can you feel it?
Yeah.
Can you feel the speculation, brother?
Feel it.
Is that possibly the NWO could be returning in some way? And like not them, maybe a new version of the NWO.
So are you thinking like 3 new guys with like the old NWO as their like not managers or something, but like their catalyst to make this happen? What do we think?
Could be.
Uh-huh.
Could be. Maybe it's the debut of my boy Cody Hall.
Well, you never know. He's in what? He's in Pro Wrestling
Hopefully
Noah
not
right
trouble.
I think he's in Pro Wrestling Noah I believe.
Last I knew, he was on Noah's Ark.
Yeah, I believe. So, which WWE's been talking with Pro Wrestling Noah about sending Hideo Itami there for a show, so.
Just change him out.
You know?
Let's get the Wolfpack back.
Get, cause mass destruction.
Yeah. Don't turn your back on the Wolfpack.
Yeah, so if that happened, I'd be curious. So here's the NWO. I mean, hey, we grew up with the NWO. That was a huge part of our watching wrestling back in the day. Like you barely knew a time of WCW without the NWO when we grew up. You know, it just was it was a big part of it. So the WWE version of it kind of sucked. It has moments, but it was And what always got me with that is they had nothing that they were fighting for. They originally did. They were going to be a cancer. They were going to,
I thought Booker T was the problem.
Well, he was later, yes.
Oh, okay.
He's the problem. yeah, that was he was the later problem, yes. But they never had any like direction after that. They came in and Vince, brought them in as a lethal dose of poison.
One of my favorite promos.
So good, And his creation was he's gonna kill it. It was slow, agonizing death of leprosy. So, the only time leprosy was ever fun was in that promo.
Absolutely.
But after that, they had no direction. After Hogan turned face and stuff, they were just, Paul and Nash and then X-Pac and Big Show.
And then Hall was intoxicated and Nash got injured.
What? Scott Hall was intoxicated?
I know, right?
Man.
And then there was just Hogan.
Yeah, there was just Hogan, who wasn't even in the NWO, but he was at that point. But yeah, no, it died a pretty quick death. Not of leprosy, but it was... maybe very fast leprosy. But, yeah, they had no direction. And, if a new group did come in and use this, spiritual successors to the NWO, I'd want them to have some direction, something that they're trying to do. They're taking over.
So their theme music would be done by the band One Direction. Who are what everyone thinks of when they think of wrestling themes. Yeah, well, I mean, you wanted them to have some direction.
We discussed wrestling themes last week. Yeah. For those of you who didn't watch our show last week, go back and watch it. Talk about the great Jim Johnston.
That was a great episode.
That was a tremendous episode.
Also, go to the Facebook page and check out all the great videos of Jim Johnson.
And then there's this one. So, we also referenced that music on the last show. So, One Direction aside,
this show's going in one direction.
It is going a direction, but in any event. It's one thing to think of, who would be in this new NWO, so to speak, this new spiritual successor to the NWO.
So here's what we're going to do, brother. Next week.
Let him tell you something.
Next week, let me tell you something, Spinebusterinos. Next week, we're going to do another segment like we did a few weeks ago, man. We want all you little Spinebusterinos out there to write into the show, brothers, and let us know who you would put in your new NWO, man.
You know, I think that's a great idea. That might even be just too
Sweet!
Yep. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, hit up the Facebook page, folks. We want to hear from you. It's been a few weeks since we've heard from you. Let's hear from you.
We want to hear from you.
Once we get some ideas, you know, we'd like to hear what you guys are thinking. Who would be an ideal? Let's make it simple. Let's keep it 3-man.
3-man,
like the original NWO.
Yep.
Who's your 3 guys?
Who's your third man?
That's right. Yeah.
Also, give us your first 2.
That's 2. Yes, just 1 man would not really help.
Yeah,
You know.
no.
Moving. No.
What if it's the one-man band?
Or the 1-man gang?
What if it's the one-man band and the one-man gang?
Is that actually like 12 guys, or is that 2 guys? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
It could happen. It could happen. Yeah. You know.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Food for thought, folks. This is the deep thoughts we think of here on Spinebuster. But yeah, let us know who would be your 3-man NWO in today's era.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
And why? Why? What would be their goal? Why would they be the NWO? And we're not talking like, you know, take an old guy with the new guys. No, we're looking at your current
No,
guys.
that would be like Evolution.
That would be, yes. That would be a little different.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on a different show.
That sounds like another show.
I think so. There might be an Evolution show down the line.
That'd be interesting.
Not the women's pay-per-view. We already talked about that, but
Ooh.
no. But
Not that one.
no, the second ever women's pay-per-view. But you know, but no, we will. Yeah, we'd look forward to hearing from you guys. We want to know, you know, what this will look like, and maybe next week.
Maybe we'll share our thoughts.
We will share our thoughts next week. So next week, you guys give us your thoughts. We'll talk about yours. We'll talk about ours.
We
And
can't talk about ours now
We
because
can't.
we just thought about this right before we started airing. So
That's true.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. There's some of the biggest legends of stars in this guy.
It's two references to that video so far. This particular episode, we're doing really well.
I'm pissed now.
Man. So yeah, let us know, and we'll look forward to hearing from you guys for next show.
Next. Well, it's the next show.
Also, later on this show, we'll have our special guest. We promised him last week, so you know he's still on his way.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't get the Uber code yet. This
No.
week.
So we're gonna eagerly await the arrival of the big show. By the way, so you know, be on the lookout for that. You know, you won't see it coming, but I promise you'll know.
I promise you'll know the big show.
That's the big show. You know, it's true.
Just show up and be like, wow, that dude's huge.
Yeah.
Must be the big show.
Must be. You know.
You'll just know.
Yep. I promise. Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Guarantee.
That was a national rule guarantee.
Région Cajun.
Didn't see that one coming.
Absolutely not. So, another stuff we do and not see coming.
Am I blind?
I hope not. That, you know, you set up the camera, so I sure hope not. But in any event, the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame.
Oh, the Hall of Fame.
Should we talk about the Hall of Fame? That's a good,
There is a Hall of
you
Fame. Quick little note before we
Yeah.
reveal who we're talking about.
Yeah.
I put a little teaser up on the Book of Face.
Oh, did you?
Earlier.
The Book of Faces, yes.
I don't know if you caught it. But
no.
I posted, you know that picture I sent you?
No.
With the Freebirds and that ridiculous looking attire?
Yes.
I posted that up on the Book of Faces. And I asked the Spinebusterinos at home. I also put up on Twitter, because we have a Twitter machine.
We do. It's true.
And I said that today's induction,
Uh-huh.
who we're going to be talking about, fought the Freebirds in those ridiculous suits
Ooh.
in 1990.
In 1990. That's
Yeah.
before some of our viewers were born.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Uh-huh.
So let me just pause for a second and be like, hey, you at home, Spinebusterino fan number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5,
All y'all.
whichever one you may be.
That's right.
Did you know? Did you know who it was? Well, if you said the Steiner Brothers, you would be correct.
Whoa.
If you said somebody else, well, you're wrong.
That's true. Well, maybe they're right. They might have thought of this at a point in time, but.
This is true, because they did wear those ridiculous outfits a few pay-per-views
It's true.
later when I watched.
But we're not talking about those other teams. We're talking about
We're talking about the Steiner Brothers.
a story of two brothers, Rick
Yeah.
and Scott. You know, that's
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The Steiner Brothers.
The dog-faced gremlin. Oh, is that the Uber code for the Big Show?
Oh, the Big Show might be on his way. There you go. It might be time. Might be time. Big Show will be here in time for the Steiner Brothers. You know,
He
so.
heard the Steiner Brothers and was like, whoa,
Yeah.
gotta get to that show.
But yeah, I think it's time to induct a tag team into
tag
the
team.
Spinebuster Hall of Fame.
And I am going to refrain from going into my tag team song.
Whoa, it's a new day. Yes, it is. Here on Speaking of Tag Teams on Spinebuster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Steiner Brothers. We talked a little bit last week about, you know, well, let's start with this. Derek and I talk about tag team wrestling a lot.
Frequently.
It's one of our favorites, one of our favorite parts of wrestling, always has been. And, teams like, the Steiners, teams like the aforementioned Freebirds, the Quebecers, teams like that, we talk about a lot.
Road Warriors.
The Road Warriors, the Outsiders.
Power and Glory.
Power and Glory,
I'm always pretty quick to bring them up.
You are often, yes. I always bring up the Beverly Brothers, so no worries. Blake and Bo, man. Blake and Bo.
Good old Blake and Bo.
Shaker Heights, Ohio, yeah.
They may make this show too.
They might.
Aside from the now that they just made. They
That's
may make
true
it again later.
Because we're talking about the Steiners, who, once upon a time...
probably fought them.
They probably fought all those teams we just talked about, just about, actually, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, except for Power and Glory.
Probably not. They were probably gone by then.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're talking about the tag teams today. We figured we would start with the one of the only teams to hold the WCW tag team titles, the NWA World Tag Team titles, the NWA United States Tag Team titles, the WWF Tag Team titles, and the IWGP Tag Team titles. They held all those belts. And that's wild. That is crazy. I don't think any other team has actually held all of those. Some of them have held 4 out of the 5. I believe the Dudley Boys have held 4 out of the 5.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
if the Dudley Boys...
I don't think they ever held the NWA titles, because when they won them in TNA, I think it was already the TNA championships, but I could be wrong on that. But
I think you're probably right on that.
yeah, but they've held the rest. But, of all the great tag teams out there, the Steiners always stood out to me. And they always stood out as a team that, in an era where you had a lot of teams, like the Beverly Brothers, who were,
Heavenly Bodies.
Heavenly Bodies. These teams that were a little more...
Such Express.
Yeah. They were a little more old school, I think is the best way we could phrase it, That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But we had the Steiners come in, and they had a very unique approach to wrestling. They had an approach that we didn't see a lot in the U.S. at that point in time, and that was the approach of, we are big, strong, amateur wrestlers who can drop you on your head and suplex you around the ring.
We are going to suplex the crap out of you.
Yeah, and you're going to like it. And that's that. And to the point where teams like, were scared to fight the Steiner Brothers. Kind of like we talked about Vader, they were scared to fight him. And it's amazing how that style evolved over the years, And we saw the evolution not only of the Steiners themselves, but of other tag teams too.
And I would say that one of the biggest surprises that I had in looking into the Steiner Brothers, I mean, there's a bunch of their stuff that we already knew because,
we watched them.
fans, we watched them.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things that I never really realized is they really didn't have a long tag team career.
Mm-hmm.
Their tag team career was actually fairly short.
Relatively
They
speaking,
went 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
They went from 88 to 98.
Yeah, that's about right.
And that's kind of weird.
It is strange.
And that's counting out all the little one-offs that they had after the fact.
Right.
Because, there's really nothing there. They're just a match.
Right.
But yeah, I was a little shocked to realize that it was just 10 years we're covering.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things. It's like when you think of the career like The Rock. It's like super short when you look at it, relatively speaking, outside of one-offs. Since '03, like it's actually really short. Or Stone Cold after he became Stone Cold. That whole run, super short.
It's not like The Undertaker.
Right. Yeah. Surround all these decades later. Or we were talking about Jushin Thunder Liger. Guy's 54 years old, I believe, and he's still out there wrestling.
Or Bill Mascaras.
Yeah, well, there's that too. Yes. So some guys just never retire, But
yeah, the man of 1,000 masks and 1,000 years worth of wrestling.
That's about right. He's probably about there by now. But yeah, so the Steiners, you're absolutely right. They had actually a relatively short time before they even teamed together. They were both wrestling solo.
Solo, you couldn't even see.
Couldn't even see them unless you were able to watch the old Territory days. The sort of latter parts of the Territory days, UWF and other things like that.
And from what I understand, that's actually how they started off in WCW in '88.
Yeah,
was Rick was there first.
Yes, he was part of the Varsity Club.
He was part of the Varsity Club, and then towards the end of '88. Scott showed up and started accompanying him to the ring. Yeah. And then they had their first tag team match at a big event. They probably had some beforehand.
Not sure.
But their first big tag team match was at Clash of Champions 8.
Yep, that's true.
Against the aforementioned Freebirds. But they weren't wearing those ridiculous suits.
They were not. They were not.
They were wearing their normal Freebird attire.
That was 1989, I think we figured, right? That was...
Yep. Yeah, did I say... Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
By the time
they got there,
By the time they got to the Clash, it's 89.
Yeah, 1989. That's pretty wild, isn't it? The Steiners, who they're so famous over all these years. 1989 they came in, finally teamed together.
And I don't think that I knew going into this that the Freebirds and Steiners ever met.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I guess maybe I did. I just didn't really think about what that meant, because the Freebirds would have been like the team of the 70s.
Sure.
And it was sort of the passing of a torch, if you will,
Yeah.
to a new, younger tag team. And it was kind of interesting to see that story told, you know,
Yeah. That is
decades later.
absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, the late 70s, early 80s was kind of the, you know, it was the heyday, you know, for the Freebirds. And of course, when they came to WCW then, and when Jimmy Garvin, one of my favorites, when he joined them and became, you know, basically the fourth Freebird, and then by default the second Freebird after, you know, it was him and Hayes.
Yeah.
They,
By this time, it's just the two of them.
Yeah, they basically ended up. Yeah, they stuck around for a very long time. And I mean, granted, Hayes is still involved in wrestling today, but not actively. But they, it was there was a lot of those passing the torch kind of things. You know, similar in that area we were talking about. I know one you're going to talk about a bit here is Doom, and you know, Ron Simmons was part of that. And Ron Simmons, at that point in his career, you know, he was kind of he was on the way up at that point in time, you figure, which was interesting, you know, in the 80s before he became Farouk and, you know, all that stuff. But, you know, he was world champion, you know, around that time, a little after that, 90, I think.
It was funny, like when I'm watching Doom come to the ring, and we'll get to Doom here in a second.
Yeah.
But when I realized it was Farouk, because Farouk has very distinct mannerisms.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, why would they put a mask on Ron Simmons?
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, I'm like, well, duh, Derek. He hasn't won the world title from Vader yet.
That's correct. That was the following year, I believe, yeah. It was 90 or 91.
92?
Somewhere in there. 91, I thought. Maybe 92.
Yeah.
It's in there somewhere. Yeah.
If only we had an episode of Spinebuster 2.1 that would tell us when that was.
That's true. Or if only, you know, we visited the Accelerators Wrestling Roller Coaster.
What?
Yeah, I know.
The Accelerators Wrestling Roller Coaster, you
It's
say?
true, you know. I mean, if we only had a site that was at www.accelerator3359.com/wrestling, you know. I know that's really specific, but this is my thought here. It would be really cool to be able to see that site that happens, you know, it would just have like all the listings of all the pay-per-view matches for any superstar you type in.
That would be crazy.
That'd be wild, you know.
If only such a thing existed.
If only such a thing existed. So, you know, in case that does exist, you guys should check out the Accelerators Wrestling Roller Coaster.
Maybe Google it to see if something's there.
Google it. You might just find a site that's something like accelerator3359.com, and you may even find them on Facebook. You never know. For the modern age, you know.
Well, the Book of Faces has an Accelerator roller coaster?
You might even find Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, pay-per-view reviews, you know, food reviews, movie reviews. You might not find those things, but, you know.
Maybe we should start reviewing his reviews.
We could do that. A future episode.
We'll review the reviews.
Reviewing the reviews. Meta reviews. It's like Metacritic, you know? Critiquing the critics. So, but anyway.
So Clash of Champions 8.
Yeah.
So this specific match with the Freebirds, the Steiners had managers, which I don't think I ever knew.
Sure.
Missy Hyatt.
Right, I knew that one.
And Robin Green, who you may know or may not know, later was Woman.
Ah, yes.
A.K.A. Nancy Sullivan.
Right.
A.K.A. Nancy Benoit.
Yep. True story.
Can we say Benoit on the show?
Yeah.
Is Vince McMahon going to censor us?
Vince McMahon doesn't watch the show.
That's right.
You know,
He's not one of the five.
No, Vince McMahon only watches his own show and every single remote detail of it, and thinks it's
Probably.
good.
Probably.
Yeah.
But the match ends when Robin Green hooks the leg of one Scott Steiner, and he gets pinned by the Freebird. And then the Freebird. It was Michael Hayes.
It's like
it was like a DDT, and then.
Well, sure.
I didn't think anybody cared about that detail.
Yeah, you know.
And, so yeah, and then afterwards, like they show you these crappy camera angles, and they can't actually see which one of the girls it was. It was like, and like the fans are allegedly screaming, "She did it." I think there's probably more detail in it, but you know, it's
old school wrestling.
It's late '80s wrestling.
Yeah, good old days.
Just roll with it. So anyhow, apparently from that, the shiznit hits the fan. They split up. All the girls are gone. Woman comes back with his tag team to take on the Steiner Brothers at Halloween Havoc '89. The team of Doom. And I love it. Every time they fought Doom, they were announced as Woman Presents Doom.
It's like it's like Monday Night Raw starring Brock Lesnar. It was like when that happened. All the time, yeah.
Woman presents the team of doom.
She presented though. She
presented them. It was great.
She was the booker.
And that's kind of how pretty much the story of the Steiner Brothers go in
Yeah.
WCW from '88 until '92.
Yeah.
I believe that was '92.
Because they, am I correct? They lost the tag titles to Doom, did they not?
They do eventually lose
Okay.
the tag team.
I remember
titles.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, they fight Doom at Halloween Havoc 89 and lose to Doom.
Okay.
So the first couple of matches you see of the Steiner Brothers,
They're losing.
they're losers.
Yeah.
They are losers. And then the next pay-per-view, Clash of Champions 9,
Okay.
they fight the Skyscrapers.
The Skyscrapers.
The Skyscrapers.
Danny Spivey and
Which was Dan
Sid
Spivey and
Vicious.
Sid at this point.
Yeah.
Which was kind of funny because the Skyscrapers came up in a couple of these pay-per-views. Basically what I did is I jumped around from pay-per-view to pay-per-view and was watching the Steiner Brother matches.
Yeah.
And like after this incident with Sid, something apparently happens to Sid because he's gone, and then it's the artist currently known as The Undertaker.
The Undertaker.
And Dan Spivey.
And a tag team match. Teddy Long would love that match.
He was managing.
I was gonna say he wasn't either.
He was managing them.
That's where he got the idea for like the entire rest of his career was that match.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. And then something happened to Spivey, and Spivey was gone. And then they had the masked Skyscraper, who looked like the Brooklyn Brawler with a black mask on and a cross.
The masked Skyscraper.
But anyhow, we're getting way off
Yes.
topic. We're not talking about the Skyscrapers.
No, we're not.
But that led into the Steiner Brothers defeating the Freebirds because somehow out of all of that they deserved a title shot.
Okay.
And they defeated the Freebirds for the World Tag Team Championship.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
the NWA.
NWA at the time. Yep. Mm-hmm.
They don't ever say NWA, but it definitely was.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So just out of nowhere,
Yeah.
a couple of losers.
Losers.
They just apparently they were good enough losers they would get a title shot and then beat the Freebirds.
Huh.
That
There you
led
go.
into Starrcade '89, which was a round robin tournament.
Yep.
They had a singles one and a tag team one, and the Steiner Brothers had a great showing, defeating Doom and the Legion of Doom, and then losing to
Doom in that tournament.
There was.
That tournament was doomed from the start.
It was. And then the new Wild Samoans
Oh, yes.
defeated the Steiner Brothers, and that meant the Road Warriors won.
Sure.
Clear as mud.
Absolutely.
Clear as mud.
Yes.
Clear as mud. And then apparently, so I'm thinking the booking of that was like, hey, Doom, we're gonna job you to every team here.
Yeah.
In exchange, we're gonna give you the tag titles.
Yeah. Doom, the only thing I remember of Doom, and I know we keep talking about Doom, Doom and Skyscrapers, we're going to talk about the Steiners eventually, too.
The Steiners and Doom go hand in hand in
Yeah.
WCW in this era.
I mean, Doom, I remember when they broke up. I remember that. They had already unmasked at that point in time.
They say that breaking up is hard to do.
Yeah, it was pretty hard for them, because they basically, well, runs for Ron Simmons because he became world champion after that, but Butch Reed really went nowhere. Yeah.
Poor hacksaw Butch Reed.
The natural Butch Reed, however that hell thing with the blonde hair, yeah.
I prefer the natural over hacksaw.
Yeah. I like Hacksaw Chip Duggan. Tough
Oh,
guy. Yeah.
he's the only hacksaw on my block.
Yes, indeed. The man, the myth, the legend. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, Doom was like the Steiners' their first major feud, I guess you could say, as a team.
And a long one.
And a long one. Lasted pretty much all through 89 and then into 90, as I recall.
Yeah,
and,
I'm looking. Yeah, 90 they fight them, and that's when they take the masks off them.
Okay, yep.
That was at Clash of Champions 10.
Okay.
And then Capital Combat 90.
Capital Combat.
That is when Doom takes the belts off of them.
Okay, there we are.
And then they get the rematch at Clash of Champions 11, the Coastal Crush.
There's a lot of interesting show names back then, you know?
Yep, and it's funny during that time frame too. Somewhere in there, that's when Woman just leaves them. It was right after Starrcade. Starrcade, Woman disappears. And they don't even mention it on the pay-per-views anymore. They're just like, hey, where'd she go? And suddenly, Doom has a personality. They're out there talking and being more boisterous than normal. But it was also funny because at no point did they ever feel like they needed to give the people of Doom any names. It was just Doom 1 and Doom 2.
Doom 1 and Doom 2. The
It
Doom
was
Patrol.
it was redonkulous.
That is a little odd.
It was redonkulous. But the important thing here is in these series of matches, like as each match like progressed, by Starrcade, you could tell the Steiner Brothers were super over. The fans were like really into the matches.
Yeah.
And they really had become the top babyface tag team in the company, which
Yeah.
is probably why they had the gold.
Absolutely, and that's the thing I remember about the Steiners back then, because I didn't get to see a lot of that until later, but I saw a lot of the videos, because we get random rental videos of stuff from old NWA, a lot of the old territory stuff, old AWA videos even, which were kind of hard to come by, but they were so interesting because as a kid watching these, I had no idea the context of them, but I would see these moments and I was like, I see this match with the Steiners, I'm like, these guys are just like amazing. Like, you know, it clicked for me like right away. And I don't know if you guys have had, you know, a wrestler or a team like that where it just clicks immediately. And I was like, okay, the Steiners are cool. Like, they are, you know, someone I want to see more of immediately, just off this random VHS tape. You know, VHS for you kids who are really young, that's like pre-DVD.
Yeah, you had to rewind them.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you were
be kind. Yeah, if you were kind, you would rewind.
Yeah, if you were super classy and had some spare money, you got those the taper winders. The taper winder,
yeah.
And rewind it super fast.
Oh yeah, those are awesome. Yeah. Absolutely, the things we spent money on back in the day, you know. Yeah.
Rewinding is such a pain in the ass. I'm gonna buy a device to rewind for me.
That's right. Even though your VCR could actually do it too.
Yes, but this could do it much faster.
That's true. VCRs were notoriously slow for rewinding. So.
They would slow down as they got closer to the end.
They would.
You could hear it. It was like.
That's how you knew you were close to the end, though.
Yeah. And then the anticipation would build. You're like, oh man.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna stop.
And then when it did, it made that clicking noise.
Yep.
And then sometimes someone would eject automatically when you did that. And then you were ready to put in another NWA tape, you know, and see more Steiner Brothers.
And then you would, And then the favorite thing to do was you watch a tape, and then you'd be like, man, I really don't want to rewind this right now.
Yeah.
And you put it in the thing and not rewind it. And then the next time you wanted to watch that, you pull it out and you'd be like, damn it. I've got to pay the price.
That's right.
Ahead of time
for
to
your
watch
insolence. Pay the price for your insolence and not being kind and rewinding. Yeah. True story. Speaking of true stories, next true story of the Steiner Brothers. So they're getting after the Doom feud. I mean, they were getting they had some feuds after that. They had some different interactions with a wide variety of wrestlers. I know they were fighting with Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton for a while.
They did a little stint with Ole and Arn.
That's right. Yep.
The Freebirds again.
Yep.
Maximum Overdrive.
Well, sure.
They defended the NWA US tag team titles against Maximum Overdrive.
There you go.
Which they had won in an untelevised. It wasn't even a pay-per-view. Right? I don't get that. Why you have the Midnight Express drop the US tag titles to the Steiner Brothers, not at a pay-per-view? I don't get.
Right.
I don't get that.
That's a lot. One thing I remember from that time, they started interacting a lot with Sting. And Sting and Luger.
Yeah, they were wearing the Sting armband.
Yeah, they had a lot of interactions with him. And they fought Sting and Luger, if I recall correctly, for the titles in one show. I think it was Starrcade, I want to say.
They did.
91, maybe? 90, somewhere in there?
When was that?
No, Super Brawl. Super Brawl is what it was. It wasn't Starrcade. It was Super Brawl.
Super Brawl Saturday?
It could have been on Saturday. I don't know. Super Brawl, I think it was 91. They fought Sting and Luger, and I remember that match. That was on one of those tapes I watched too. And it's like, Sting and Luger, you know, and who, you know, were tag team champions themselves. But one thing that I was reading a little bit, and some of my research that I was doing. Of course, I always got to talk about Japan. You know, they went to Japan for a bit. WCW had that partnership with Japan for a bit.
I purposely didn't research that because I knew you would have it.
Oh, of course I would, because, as I mentioned, the Steiners were IWGP Tag Team Champions as well. Yeah, and they held the belts for quite a while over there, as I recall, basically through 91 to 92. And they were, I saw a match of theirs, so as most of my stories seem to go, I've met Scott Steiner, and I got to talk to Scott Steiner about this New Japan work, and I was talking with him about a match with him and Rick, versus Hiroshi Hase and Keisuke Sasaki, and that was
I can't help you with your names.
Yeah, and it was, it's actually on a DVD, some WWE DVD, I think I'd actually seen it on, not
a cassette?
I know, not a cassette, not a VHS. But I think that was an ECW rematch they had. But anyway, getting off the rails. But they had some of the most fantastic matches in New Japan. We talked about that Bigelow and Vader one against them as well. They really got to show their stuff in New Japan, which was really cool, and as most do in New Japan. But Steiner Brothers were that New Japan style, like kind of before the U.S. saw a lot of that outside the Japanese guys. You know, they had that hard hitting style that.
I think they were Kurt Angle before Kurt Angle was Kurt Angle.
In many ways, yeah, they were kind of like Kurt Angle plus like Vader in a way, if I can use that description. You know,
I guess in a way because people were actually legitimately afraid to wrestle.
Yeah.
Scott Steiner specifically.
Yeah.
And he's going to drop them on their heads.
Right.
He was doing a couple of those matches, like he would do this belly to belly off the second rope.
Oh yeah.
And
Just
he legit drops somebody straight on their head because he goes to throw them backwards and their feet hit the rope.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like, Scott, why are you doing that?
Oh yeah.
Put them on the top rope. Do it from there or something.
It's something I say a lot in wrestling that we enjoy quite a bit. That's when things look like they hurt.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want people to get hurt, but you know what I'm saying? It looks legit. And everything they did looked legit. Like even, the move that always got me in the Steiner line, it's like this really like simple little, like he barely moves on this clothesline. But it looks like it hurts. Like the guy just hits it like a brick wall, and it's like that's just something, The little subtleties. Those guys knew how to beat people up, make it look convincing, basically in the ring. And some of those matches. I remember Hiroshi Hase. I think it was him and Chono. I think they fought too. And it was just really cool matches. Cho knew it. It's true. Masahiro Chono. So from there, what else do we have?
From there, that's pretty much the end
WCW.
The end of their first WCW run.
Yeah.
They split them up there at the end, and we're not going to talk about that because they're not together.
That's not the Steiner Brothers. That's just the Steiner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then they end up getting released because Bill Watts takes over the company and he's trying to save money. And
True.
He lowballs them, and they're like, "Peace out, yo."
As you do. Yep.
And then they went to the WWF.
Yeah. And that is that's first place that.
That's where.
First place you saw him, I think, right?
That's the first place I saw them. Yeah.
Because I think.
I skipped all those. But those don't matter.
There you go. Derek's got his book of notes here.
Yeah, awesome. Look at all those notes.
All the Steiners,
that don't matter. We skipped over the whole feud with the Nasty Boys.
Oh man!
Shucks! When are we ever going to mention Sags and Knobs on the show?
Well,
if it's not now,
I've met them as well.
Because they're probably not making the fame.
No.
The fame of Hall.
The fame of Hall. You never know.
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, we might come over someday.
I mean, they're. Yeah.
Could happen. Anyway, the Steiners, though, they went to WWF at the time, and they fought the Beverly Brothers.
They did.
Yes.
I think that was the first pay-per-view opponent.
I think so. Rumble 93, right?
Rumble 93. Yeah. Blake and Bo.
Blake and Bo, yep. Which,
Beverly Brothers.
I just did some quick research since we were talking about the masked skyscraper was Mike Enos, who was Blake Beverly.
Oh,
fun fact. So there you go. So just tie this all around.
Oh, that's funny.
Funny. So his one appearance is the masked skyscraper.
I couldn't tell he was wearing jeans and then like a shirt that was cut up like the Brooklyn Brawler.
Yep.
And he wore that ridiculous.
Mike Enos. Blake Beverly. Mike Enos. There you go. But I remember that.
Lost skyscraper.
Yep, he was the one night only skyscraper. But their WWE run was pretty interesting. Their style didn't fit WWE whatsoever. I didn't feel like they were like way too hard hitting for WWE at that era, but their character-wise, Rick especially, like really fit well with kind of the somewhat cartoony style of what was going on at the time in WWE. And as Derek is sniffing his beer as he does, so the
it smells weird.
well, that's all right. So the Steiners, they had that match against the Beverlys, and I remember their one. As far as I know, their only WrestleMania match, right? The Headshrinkers match.
Yeah.
That was at
WrestleMania 9.
Yeah. Outdoors, yeah, that's right. At Caesar's Palace, yeah.
Did they not make 10?
I don't think they did. Not to my recollection.
Yeah, I don't think they did. Or
no, they were out by then.
If
I recall correctly.
So WrestleMania 10, that would have been
94.
Yeah, they left mid-94. They should have been there. Maybe they were in that big multi-man match that got canceled.
They were at Rumble 94, I remember that. But
yeah, they were in the Rumble.
They were in, yep. But
I think my favorite Steiner Brother time in the E.
In the E, or the F at the time.
yeah, in the F at the time. Would have been 93.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been that whole time where they won the tag titles and then held them up through the time when they lost them to, do you remember who they lost them to in 1993?
The 1993 was that one on Raw?
Yeah.
Was that the Province of Quebec rules match?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Against Jacques and Pierre.
Yeah. So for all those Spinebuster fans out there who don't know what the rules of this Quebec Providence rules match.
Yeah, the Province of Quebec rules match, yeah.
Essentially, what it was, this is it. It's a minor detail. Is that the titles could change hands via disqualification. Because normally they don't.
No, not typically.
This time they could. And how does the match end, of course? It ends with Johnny Polo tossing up a hockey stick, Scott Steiner catching it, the referee turning around and seeing Scott Steiner with a hockey stick, and disqualifying the Steiner Brothers, costing them their tag team championships.
Yep, that indeed happened. That always has a fond memory for me. As anyone who's ever listened to or watched the show knows, we tend to like the Quebecers quite a bit, and they were awesome, and they totally deserved it. They were
it's so funny. I thought they were one of the greatest tag teams of all time back then.
Yeah, they were three-time champs in a short order. So.
And now, like looking back at time, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Their impact is a little more minimal.
Their impact was nowhere near what I thought they were.
But they were still cool.
They were.
And they were one of, as far as I can think, now this might go, way back when, but in the era that I've watched, I can only think of twice where titles have changed hands by DQ that way. I remember that one, and I remember where Christian won the world title from Randy Orton by getting kicked in the junk. He won the world title that way. And there might have been others. I can't quite remember if there were other ones, but those are the two that stick in my mind. But I remember when the Christian one happened, I was like, oh, that's the first one I can think of since the Quebecers beat the Steiner Brothers on Raw with a hockey stick, Yeah. And I get Steiner even used the hockey stick?
No,
he just had it in his hand, right?
Yeah.
So that's made it even funnier.
Johnny Polo just threw it up there.
Johnny Polo, the man who would be Raven. Yeah. Scotty Flamingo.
What about me?
Yeah.
What about Raven?
Johnny Polo. Yeah, that was, I did love that, and partially because of all the Quebecers, but
and then that run all the way up to the Survivor Series match with Team USA versus the Foreign Fanatics.
Yep.
That was like, I loved that.
The All-Americans versus the Foreign Fanatics.
I mean, obviously, I love that build. I just went back and put most of that up on the Spinebuster page talking about Luger and Yokozuna.
Yep.
And that match was just a part of it.
Yeah. That's true. And the Steiners, they were a big part of that. They were like the consummate face tag team at the time. They really didn't have I think the Smoking Guns would just come in, they had them kind of building up. But beyond that, I don't think they really had much else in the way of faces.
No.
The Headshrinkers turned face for a little bit.
Yeah, later after the Steiners left.
But they didn't really have any other face teams. They were in there, and the sort of the end of they beat Money Inc. for the titles. Who else was there at the time? The Natural Disasters had just kind of phased out around that time period, so...
Probably because they went to WCW.
They did, yes.
So one could put on a glittery helmet, and the other one could be a shark.
Yes. Yeah. WCW was weird at times. It was weird. Wrestling's weird. That's why we talk about it.
It is weird.
But, that whole... I remember what you were talking about there, though, because, that was during Luger's big run as the, All-American, Made in America.
The new Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, and, which, didn't really work, but the Foreign Fanatics I have loved because one of my favorite underrated wrestlers, Ludwig Borga, was in it, and
he could have been a favorite of mine had he not ended Tatanka's undefeated streak.
Yeah, Ludwig Borga was awesome.
Tatanka is probably one of my all-time favorites, who is probably wholly underrated.
Well, you know who else Ludwig Borga beat that was important? The Steiner Brothers. Ludwig Borga and Scott Norton actually won the IWGP Tag Team titles from the Steiner Brothers. That's who they lost them to. So he was Tony Holm. Yes, yeah. So Ludwig Borga was in the Steiner's mirror the whole time.
I'm gonna venture to guess that Ludwig Borga doesn't get this kind of play in any more episodes.
Probably not, but
So you better breathe this in.
I'm a huge fan of Ludwig Borga. I don't know. I understand he was he wasn't very fun backstage, and he was a bit of a danger in the ring. I understand, but God rest his soul. Ludwig Borga, he was also a wrestling politician. Go back to our Kane earlier. He was in Finnish Parliament for a while. And, he was it's just funny to say, but no, he was IWGP Tag Champ, so Scott Norton beat the Steiner Brothers. And he was in that match with Crush, with Jacques of the Quebecers.
Yes. Oh, yeah, for the Survivor Series match?
And Yokozuna, right?
And Yokozuna, because Lex Luger knocked out the other Quebecer with his forearm. Because they had injured Tatanka. Yokozuna did the bonsai drop, took Tatanka out. He was replaced by The Undertaker.
The Undertaker.
It was a weird time in that.
It was very strange.
It was weird. But it was also entertaining because most of the other Survivor Series matches, you didn't get that kind of this team's out hurting and maiming these guys, so they have to replace them with these other guys. So it made it feel very real and very, very kind of cool. And the Steiners were a big part of that.
Absolutely. No, they definitely were. Yeah, they that was one of their last major things they did in WWF, as I recall. As a team, at least. They didn't really do
They didn't do much afterwards. They had a SummerSlam match with Money Inc., but that was before the Survivor Series.
Yeah. Not much else, yeah.
After that, they were the Royal Rumble 94, where they started off pretty early. I think they won
1-3, weren't they?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
And they worked together up until they were eliminated by I want to say it was Owen and Diesel.
I think so, yeah. I believe so, yeah. So I mean, the Steiners, they had that run, and then I guess we kind of continue on in their career. You know, they were one of those teams that they made a stop in ECW.
Like a lot of people did.
A lot of people did, you know.
A lot of people did in that time frame. I never watched ECW. I don't know much about ECW. But it's funny to hear about a lot of these guys who spent time in ECW, like Jericho and Benoit and all these other guys, and you're just like, what? They were in ECW?
Yeah, absolutely.
Eddie Guerrero.
That's where they got their start, mostly in the U.S.
I'm just like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, the Steiners were interesting in ECW. I've seen very little of them just because of the ECW unreleased DVDs that WWE did a while ago.
Okay.
They were on at least one or two of those. And the thing with the Steiners, they were super, well regarded. They're very well respected at ECW. Like, that was their whole thing. But they really didn't do anything. Like, they barely ever won. They, when they did win, it was like they fought the Japanese, the New Japan guys coming through. They, had just random matches. They didn't really have a good run per se, which I found odd, given that combination you would think would really work well. The Steiners and ECW.
It was super odd. The cliff notes of what I read from their ECW time was them normally tag teaming up with a third other random guy. Yeah. And then they would just lose.
Yeah, generally. I mean, they didn't.
Once it was even Taz.
Yeah, they did. They teamed with Taz. Because they had the Eliminators were there at the time, and you would think like the Eliminators, they were like basically not really a similar style, I guess, but they were kind of a Smash Mouth style. They were a lot smaller than the Steiners were, but Saturn and Cronus, they were just like, they were kind of that prototype of the Steiners, and you would have thought they would have had a really good feud out of that. They really didn't. I mean, it was, they fought a time or two, but it wasn't anything special, compared to what you would see out of, the Steiners in, say, WCW, when they returned to WCW, which was their next stop, and really their last stop as a team.
Because their time ends there.
It really does, and outside of random one-off matches, like we said. They came back to WCW, and that's where I first saw them, was in WCW in about 97, 98, when they were basically like the team. Like, they were the guys. And when I first got into WCW, like, immediately again, I'm like, I'd seen them on those old videos, so I knew of them. I'd seen them win the titles from lose the Quebecers on Raw.
Damn Quebecers.
Yeah, but the first time I saw them really in action, outside of one match off clips, was in WCW. And they had lost the... Yeah. They
lost the pencil.
Yeah, they had lost the tag titles to Harlem Heat. And they were feuding then with the Outsiders, who beat the Harlem Heat, for the titles. And that was like one of the major tag team feuds I remember growing up, was that Outsiders-Steiners feud.
I would say in WCW, to me, that was the golden era of tag team wrestling in WCW, with Outsiders, Steiner Brothers, Harlem Heat.
Yeah, Public Enemy is still around.
Yeah, they would throw Public Enemy in there. Nasty Boys from time to time, but they're
kind of on
Nasty
the way
Boys.
up, but yep.
But I mean, they had a lot of
Fire and Ice. About Scott Norton earlier. Let's toss him out there again. Yep.
Fire and Ice.
Fire and Ice, yes.
Didn't think that name would get played.
Hey, we're just pulling out all the stops here.
They were long, just keeps coming back.
You know who else was there? The amazing French Canadians.
They were.
Yep. Jacques and Pierre again.
They went there too.
They were also there. But you're absolutely right. No, it was kind of a golden era, and those main two teams, the Outsiders and the Steiners, like, they had such a good face-heel dynamic at that time. And yeah, you can say what you will, the NWO were the cool heels, fine. But as a kid, as a 14-year-old kid watching this, I was just like taken aback by just how much I hated the Outsiders next to that feud, because I wanted the Steiners to win. I wanted them to win the titles. Then they did, and then like Bischoff reversed the decision on him.
I remember that.
And then I was pissed. I'm like, what is this?
They had to like return the titles.
They did.
And then they like throw them down, and like one of them broke.
I think so. That was when.
I think I remember watching that.
Wasn't that when Randy Anderson got fired? Bischoff fired him on TV and stuff for counting the pin. Yeah.
Yep.
And they just. it was just wild to see that feud and how much heat was on that feud. Not Harlem Heat, but just the general. Man, the Outsiders were great at what they did at that time. And you could tell like they both cared at that time, which was good. It went a long way, and the Steiners sure did too. And then ended up, of course, leading into one of the first big heel turns I can remember in that era. There were more, of course, but Hogan, obviously, but in a post-Hogan world.
And then anytime somebody would join the NWO.
Right, you had random jabronis joining the NWO, that's, Buff Bagwell turned heel, what do you do? But when Scott Steiner turned heel on his brother.
That was a big moment.
That was something. That was, again, this is 14-year-old me watching this, and I remember when Scott Steiner cut his hair, like this before he turned heel.
Yeah.
He cut his hair, and I'm like, why did he cut his hair? Why does he have a goatee? Like, I'm really confused. And, like, he just, didn't look like Scott Steiner anymore. Why does he have, like, 8 billion muscles where he didn't have muscles before?
Yeah.
And, and it's weird because looking back, I'm like, okay, that was pretty obvious that this was going to happen. But, at the time, I was like, wait, he turned on? How did this, And they were kind of playing it up. I remember he was getting, like, arrogant, and he was not, tagging out to Rick. Because that, one thing we kind of didn't mention, the one thing I always found interesting of the Steiners is kind of our overarching conversation. Scott always started the matches. Rick was the hot tag guy, which I always found interesting. You think you bring in the more muscular guy who does the Frankenstein. You would bring in him as the hot tag, but no, Rick was the hot tag guy.
Yeah, Rick was the hot tag. Yeah.
Scott
started every single one.
Every match, yeah. And they turned that into an angle that when he turned heel, like because he was starting the match, he wouldn't tag out to Rick. Like he was, it was.
It's funny because we didn't talk about this, but I did notice that when I was watching the matches. I'm just like, man, for being the big guy, Scott gets his ass beat a lot.
Oh yeah,
and has to tag out to Big Brother Rick.
He was the heat guy. It was weird. Like he was the one who got the heat, and then Rick got the hot tag. It was, which I remember even like being baffled as a kid. I was like, wait, why wouldn't you put your big muscular guy in second? Like it doesn't make sense.
I didn't understand how they used Rick half the time.
Yeah,
he just early WCW Rick Steiner was a weird character.
Mm-hmm.
He was a weird guy. Wouldn't make cut his promos looking down at the floor like this.
Yep. He'd say weird things.
Yeah. Claimed to have named the Frankensteiner. We were watching this movie and there was a scary guy on it. What movie were we watching? Were you watching like Frankenstein? The Frankensteiner! Arr, arr, arr. It was like what the hell's going on right now?
Wrestling.
Like
wrestling is going on.
Like Rick, you're not that bad on the mic. What are you doing?
Rick was an odd cat. yeah. And he got to play that up quite a bit. He played up like way back when too, with Varsity Club and stuff. He was kind of playing that up as well. Yeah, like Mike Rotundo was kind of
Was he dumb in the Varsity Club too?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Oh my god.
That was kind of his character there. That's how he got kicked out of the Varsity Club, is he was like
for being dumb?
Well, they was like they were just kind of
I didn't watch any Varsity Club.
Okay,
obviously.
yeah. Basically, Sullivan and Rotundo were kind of just dragging him along because he was the big dunce jock guy. He didn't have any he was kind of, but he actually got over with the fans like as a face. So that's how they ended up breaking away from it because he was like the lovable dumb guy, But then
that explains a little bit more why he was probably still playing that character.
Yeah, but then he got more serious as time went on.
Because it wasn't the Rick Steiner I knew in '93.
Sure.
I mean, that Rick Steiner was nothing like the Rick Steiner I was introduced to in '88 and '89.
Yeah, and he was a lot more serious, of course, as time went on too, and well, so was Scott for that matter, to say the least, But that was the end of the road, really. I mean, we were talking earlier. They were in the what do you call it, the Magnificent Seven together at the end of WCW.
At the end of WCW, that was like 01.
That was 01. Yep, it was right at the end, and they had. That was a crazy stable when you think of it. It had like those two, had Luger and Flair, had Bagwell was in it, and then Road Warrior Animal.
Chavo was in it too.
Chavo was not in it. No.
I thought that was
that would have been the logical conclusion, but no.
Magnificent.
Magnificent.
Okay.
Chavo was still in the MIA at the time, I believe. Yeah,
probably.
Lieutenant Loco. Anyway, some more viewers will get that joke eventually about Chavo, but
maybe
someday we'll explain that. But anyway, the Steiners, that was kind of the end of the road for them. They teamed up a few times after that, but that was like the end of an era. But like you said, like a decade, and that was really it.
Yeah, and it seems like it was ended too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, Scott Steiner had a great singles career, and Rick Steiner was entertaining to me as a singles wrestler.
Yeah.
But like when they would team up for those one-offs. Like one of the times they fought like the Dudley Boys, right?
Yeah, in TNA.
Yeah, like that was like a big moment for me.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool because there should have been more. I feel like we were robbed of some great Steiner Brothers stuff.
Yeah, that was in 2007. Like that's how many years after? That was crazy.
Yeah,
so that's wild, Yeah, that was.
It was like 10 years after they broke.
Yeah, they actually just showed that on Impact not too long ago. They always show like an old match on Impact every week, and they showed that one because after Scott Steiner and Eli Drake won the tag titles, they showed that because Steiner did the Frankensteiner in that match in 2018, and the last time he had done that was in that match in 2007. They showed it there, and it was pretty cool because they fought Team 3D, Dudley's, and they fought him twice, I believe. They fought in the table match, this one I watched, and then they fought. Well, they were supposed to fight him that one time, and Scott Steiner got like deathly ill, and the doctors in Puerto Rico saved his life. I remember that. That was the first time they were supposed to fight.
Not to be confused with Bruiser Brody.
No,
where the doctors in Puerto Rico did not save his life.
They did not save his life. No, that was a very morbid segue, but yes, it's true. So thank you for that. But,
that's what I'm here for.
Yeah,
that's what I'm here for. A dose of reality.
Yeah,
and I need to get a Piper reality check shirt.
And actually, just to tie some eras together here, the last match I remember the Steiners, I'm sure they've had one since then, but the last one I remember was also in TNA. They fought Tomko and AJ Styles. The Steiners fought AJ Styles for the TNA tag titles. They lost, but they fought Tomko and Styles. That was the last match I remember them fighting. That I've seen as a team. And then Rick went into trying to get a school board. And,
he was on a school board for a while, and then he couldn't run for a second term.
Right.
And then now he sells real estate, I guess.
Yes, he does. He does. And Scott still wrestles.
Scott still wrestles.
He's still like on a partial contract with Impact. He shows up every now and then just to wrestle random guys. And
he's still out there.
He appears at Comic-Cons, as I can tell you.
Pumping iron and doing his thing.
Yeah. So he is, it's impressive that he's still going. Of the two of them, I would not have expected him to be the one who's still going, honestly. But
I would have thought his body would have broken down by now.
Which he has a lot, but he still can. Yeah. He still has some capabilities.
He's like massive. He's like a moving mountain.
He really is.
There's a mountain of a man. I knew that was coming.
It has to. But I mean the Steiners. So overall, kind of wrap this up. The Steiner Brothers, their impact on wrestling. There's that word again. Their impact on wrestling, not just Impact Wrestling.
It was TNA back then.
Well, it was back then. That's true. The show was Impact, but I feel like again they brought that. I guess I don't want to say strong style, but getting at to the U.S. in tag team work in that era.
I would say they were the original mayors of Suplex City.
I would say so. I think they might have founded it, for that time.
They were the founding founders of Suplex City. I'm now picturing them in the George Washington white powdery wigs,
cutting a large ribbon from them. They just randomly turn around and suplex the guys in back of them. So yeah.
I need to see that.
If we have any artist friends out there, someone needs to draw that.
Someone needs to make that happen.
That's right. We'll put it on the Spinebuster page. But there's the Suplex City. You see like Taz and Lesnar and like Perry Saturn, all these guys in the background too. We're all.
That'd be great. That'd be great stuff.
But they definitely had a huge influence on tag team wrestling, and obviously they turned it into a lengthy career, even if it was a short term together.
Yeah. Because I don't know did Rick do much after WCW closed? Did he just kind of fade away right away?
I think he went to I don't know if he went to Australia for a little bit. That thing that like all those guys were doing for a little bit, Hogan and
he was doing that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was part of that or not. I feel like he was, but he didn't hear about him much after they heard about Scott, but you didn't hear about Rick. Scott went back to WWE, of course, and had a pretty uneventful run there. Except for the time when he said he wasn't getting steroid tested unless Triple H did. That was tremendous. And,
it's also probably the reason why he's not there.
It might be part of it, But
probably part of the reason why he's not there.
So,
but, besides for the fact that he hates them.
There's that.
And refuses to go to the Hall of Fame unless they get a building.
Scott Steiner hates a lot of people, though.
He does.
It's true.
He's right, though, about the building. They need a building.
They do need a building. It's very true. Yeah. I mean...
It's hard to fault him on that one.
I mean, we have a building right here.
We have a building.
Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here. We've got
all these tag
championship belts,
all these tag belts, some memorabilia.
That's right. We got autographs, we got all that stuff. Building, physical building, folks. Come on.
We have some of the biggest stars in the business.
That's right.
Come here to be guests on our show, like the Big Show.
Big Show, he'll be here soon.
He's going to be on the show.
That's right. When he gets his car, he'll be here.
As soon as that Uber picks him up.
Someday.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the Uber shows up. but like he can't get in the car.
Ah.
That could be
Uber is too tight too, Billy.
Yeah, the Uber is too tight too, Billy.
Yeah.
That could be a problem.
Billy, what's his name? God rest his soul. Yeah. So.
Somebody killed Billy?
He died a while ago, actually. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Billy Firehawk. Yeah. Yep.
That was Billy. What's his name?
Yeah. Billy Firehawk. Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Sure was. Yeah. He died actually soon after that video became popular. Yeah.
So he couldn't afford to pay Luger.
He couldn't. The world may never know. Luger never did fight that match against Rob Killings that Super Bowl Saturday. I know.
I feel like violated.
Don't you feel
now.
ripped off?
I do.
Yeah.
I feel like that T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Ripped off because it was too tight
right.
too.
Eventually got ripped off at some point. But yeah, so
Left unwillingly.
Indeed.
So who would you say was your favorite Steiner Brothers opponent?
Ooh, that's interesting. Favorite Steiner's opponent? Well, I mean, I would say the Outsiders because I love the feud. As far as my actual favorite opponents to see them wrestle, probably Harlem Heat.
That's kind of who I thought you might be.
Yeah, purely because or Luger and Sting, probably one or the other, because that's really the first time I really got to see the Steiners a lot of. But against Harlem Heat, I loved it because both teams had kind of, both had the power. Stevie Ray had more of it on Harlem Heat. And then Booker was so different from all three of them that he really brought a lot of unique spots to the matches and stuff too. So probably Harlem Heat, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like Sting and Luger and them probably had the best match when they were together.
Yep.
But I'm thinking of other teams that they had pretty good matches with. Surprisingly, would have been the Samoans.
Yeah.
That WrestleMania 9 match was pretty good
Compared to the rest of WrestleMania 9, it was, yeah.
Everybody hates that.
It's
that media.
Ooh,
But yeah, their match with them in WCW as the New Wild Samoans, that was pretty good too.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's good go.
And the contradicting styles was kind of interesting.
That was like a good contradicting style match. Yeah.
And I felt like that was kind of that. I just remember when they fought the Quebecers, it just flat pissed me off. Because I was so pissed that they got disqualified, lost the title with the hockey stick.
Right, yep.
And then,
this is what it was meant to do.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
Succeeded. I was pissed.
Absolutely.
I was pissed. And then they could never get them back, and then they were gone.
Yeah.
About as fast as they got there.
That was really odd. That was the end of their run. Basically, they lost the titles with by DQ, and I don't think they get a rematch. I don't remember.
I don't remember. I think they did. They did get a rematch, but it was another one of those things where the Quebecers were probably counted out.
Right.
Because they had the belts now.
Sure.
So they didn't matter.
That's right. You don't have to win as champion. You just have to not lose. That's right.
And then I remember just being overly frustrated with that whole 9 yards.
It's amazing the effect of wrestling, how a good angle can actually make you feel that way, And notwithstanding that you were probably 12 years old, but beyond that,
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about this now, and it wasn't planned, but we're gonna talk about it because now I feel like it's relevant and it's on a soapbox.
All right.
And I feel like dirt sheets, like rumor sites, that they are killing wrestling today. Because and for the last several years, and I'm just now catching on to this because I don't know, I'm tired. I'm tired of you spoiling shit for me. Not you.
Just me. I'm gonna leave.
Stop telling me shit.
I'm gonna take a call.
Stop telling me stuff, Ken. Pissed now. But
I'm trying to quit.
Yeah, they put all the stuff out there. They're putting these frivolous star ratings on matches, and you maybe not even seen it yet, but now you don't want to watch it because it's got a bad rating. It's just bad business.
Well,
it's just bad business, bro.
I agree to a point. I'll give the counter argument. So there's matches I have only watched because Meltzer gave a good star rating. I would have not watched them anyway. Otherwise, so there's multiple sides to the coin. However, I will say that and there's good goes with the Steiners, and that raw emotion that I felt watching those Steiner matches, that frustration that the heels were getting the upper hand on them, the joy when they won the tag titles and the Outsiders, the frustration again when they had given back, all those different things.
I remember you pissed then.
Oh, I was pissed. That one when Luger lost the title to Hogan at Road Wild, I was pissed at that one too. He had just won it. I was so
I remember
pissed.
That too.
Oh man, I was pissed. But
that was an NWO theme there for a while.
Yeah,
and it was getting old.
It was, and I was just not only were they good heels, but then it was just getting frustrating that it happened so many times. But I think one thing that we kind of found probably about 98, somewhere in there where like the internet really started like, I mean there was Meltzer's newsletter and things like that kind of exposed parts of the business and stuff, which was what it was. We didn't get those, but the internet, when it started like really booming around that time, around the Attitude Era, it was suddenly the curtain was back. You saw the great and powerful Oz for what he really was, and it was like it killed the mystique a bit, and it made things tougher to react, I think, in wrestling. And I try to avoid spoilers nowadays on things that I actually care about. It was so hard. I've been trying, I noticed I've not talked about the G1 today. It's because I'm actually 3 episodes behind on it. And I don't want to be spoiled on those. Problem is, I actually got spoiled on something earlier today about one of the episodes. It's minor, but I know the results of a match that I would have liked to have not known the results of. And I was looking at something completely unrelated to it. And it just, suddenly it's like, oh, so-and-so has scored this many points in the G1. I'm like, I don't want to know that. It has nothing to do with what I'm reading.
Stop spoiling stuff, spoilers.
So,
Spoiler, no spoiling.
Yes. That's the great wrestling champion Dora the Explorer there. Yes.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I know that reference because I used to work at Toys R Us. There you go. So,
and I know that because I have kids.
There you go. So that's why we have to explain Dora the Explorer on a wrestling show. So, but anyway, no, I think you're right to a point. I think that guys like the Steiners, especially back then, they could elicit that emotion from you. And in the days before the dirt sheets, the days before or those before we saw them, those were good days.
I'm getting rid of the dirt sheets.
Just close them out. Disconnect you from the world.
I'm going through the Facebook thing when I get home, and I'm unfollowing all Facebook wrestling news related sites except for Accelerators Wrestling Roller Coaster.
What about Spinebuster? Are you gonna follow us?
And I'm not going to unfollow. We don't break news. We don't spoil anything.
Not really, no. Not really.
We spend too much time talking about the past.
That's true. We really do. If we're spoiling the past for you guys, then
that's your fault.
It's the past.
It's your fault.
Go watch it. Go watch it on any of those streaming services.
Yeah.
The Fight Network, NGPW World,
the WWE Network,
the Honor Club. Any of these ones that are out there nowadays.
The Global Force Network, whatever that is.
Global Wrestling Network. Yep. GWN. Yeah. Go check it out. Any of those.
Any of them.
It's a good time to be a wrestling fan if you want to watch wrestling matches. But
check all of them.
Get them all, except for WWE Network. Don't get that. Just don't get the money.
You have to get that because that's how you get all those. That's how you get all the things in the notebook.
You can get. I'm gonna close on this. You can get your free month of the WWE Network and then just not renew it. And then about a month or two later, they'll give you another free month. You can basically get the network for all time and never pay for it if you really want to. So.
Not all time.
Yeah, you never know. Not all time. Until they catch on. So, but they,
How do you watch NXT?
I go to my friend's house and watch it. It's good to have friends, folks.
I guess it's not a fair question. So, I meant to ask this earlier when we were talking about it, but now it's come to my brain again, so we're going to circle back and ask it. So WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you watching MSG or are you watching NXT?
Well, see, I like NXT. It's the only thing in WWE I do like. So I'll watch both. I won't watch them simultaneously, but
Which one are you watching first? Which one are you watching live-ish?
I don't know how the MSG thing, if or how it's going to be broadcast. So,
probably Fight Network.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't have Fight Network, so that might complicate matters. So there's that. So.
You don't have it, and you're going to be watching All In.
I mean,
we're all in.
Yeah, I will have to figure it out, but it'll be figured out. I will watch. I plan on watching everything though.
Stay tuned. We're gonna update you as to which way Ken falls.
We're gonna figure out the plans here, but right now, if I had a choice in the matter, I will say this. Right now, if I have a choice, I would actually prefer to watch the MSG show. I would. True story. So, yeah. And here's why. Here's why. We're gonna close on this. Here's why. Because right now, I would rather watch that show because 99% of the guys I care about in wrestling right now will be on that show, not on NXT. So that's where I'm at. I enjoy NXT. It's been getting a lot better lately. I will say that. Something positive I'll say about WWE. But outside of those few guys, I'll watch it definitely, but I will be probably watching it the next day before WrestleMania as I have the last 2 years. So there you go. That's what I'll say.
I was going to say, my answer is probably going to be a hard neither. I won't watch either of them live. I'll probably end up watching NXT before I see the MSG show.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can still find a way to watch the MSG show.
Yeah. And I guess I will say this, it depends on what's on the MSG show too, because, I assume they're going to put on a great show because they're basically not competing per se, but in a way they are.
I think they're very much competing. I think they want to sell out. I think they want to
Well,
put
I'm sure
on
they do.
what the wrestling fans would consider a better show than WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I think they
and I don't think
chance of doing so,
I don't
honestly.
think
So.
the folks at NJPW or ROH are playing around with this at all.
No, I think they know who they are. They have a very good vision of where they're going right now, which is very cool to see. At least NJPW does. ROH has its moments where they could lose track of it, but they have that partnership which helps them tremendously. And I think there is so much potential for that show that intrigues me. And I really want to see where wrestling is going, not Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. So,
We're talking about WrestleMania. That's not going to be the WrestleMania main event.
Oh, we don't know that. We don't know that, folks. We don't know
WrestleMania
that.
main event is going to be The Rock and Elias.
I think we do know that's not going to be the WrestleMania main event, but
It's going to be my main event.
Uh-huh. On that note, this has been our main event here, Spinebuster, brought to you every week on The Tube of You,
The Tube of You!
The Book of Faces.
Oh, yes!
And the radio that talks like a blog. All the above. And the fire-breathing Twitter machine.
And the fire-breathing Twitter machine.
All those things. You can find us at Spinebuster Show. You can find us right there. And come visit our site. Come check us out. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Tell us, just as a reminder, tell us who would be your three-man NWO of the new era.
Suckers gots to know.
Gots to know. Gots to know. And we will talk about it next show here on the show. And
that will be episode 2.5 for all those keeping track at home.
That's right. We'll have eclipsed the Four Horsemen. We'll be moving on to...
Season 1 was 4 episodes.
That's right. Well, this will be...
Season 2, 4 episodes.
Groundbreaking season right now.
Yeah.
So
we will officially have lasted longer than Season 1.
We'll get to our Booker T five-time Spinebuster episode.
Oh, yes.
I like it.
With many more to come.
Absolutely. At least we sure hope so. And that all depends on you guys, our viewers. So definitely keep watching us. Keep like, share, subscribe. Let us know what we can talk about in this show.
You can rate us on Facebook.
Rate us on Facebook. Let us know.
You can give us 5 stars or 5 stars. Or
That's right.
5 stars.
Yeah.
And tell us how great we are.
About 6 stars. Go Kenny Omega on.
They can't go up. Can't break the rating scale there.
Only Kenny Omega can do that. Yep. Only Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada can do that.
There's only 5 stars.
No.
You can't.
Yet. So anyway.
That's why you would never rate something 5 stars. It's always less than that. You might as well rate every show a 10.
Yeah, who would do that? Yeah. Gosh. Anyway, for
always a 9.5.
Always a 9.5. So anyway, this has been Spinebuster, always a 9.5. So
this show is actually probably more like a 3.
We'll see. We'll see. We could still think Tony Kornheiser. We'll try to do better next week here.
We'll try to do better next week.
My goodness.
That sounds fair. Sounds fair.
In any event, I think that's our show for the day. And
gotta be fair and flair.
Yeah, you always do. So, in any event, this has been Ken.
I'm Derek.
That's still Derek. And this has been Spinebuster, episode 5. And hey, we're gonna see you guys next time.
4.
I'm so jacked for 5. Let me tell you. So soon, episode 5 will be here.
Yeah. Let's not close 5.
That's right.
How are we going to open 5 if you've already closed it?
That's true. 5 will not be closed yet.
No.
My apologies. So
Whew, that was close.
I tell you what,
we would have had to end the season.
We might have had to. The big show would have never shown up. Man,
Yikes.
we can't have that. So anyway. That's our episode, and thank you guys for watching, listening, and we will talk to you guys next time. Until then, this is Spinebuster, and hey, we'll see you guys further up the card.
Just keep staring at it.
It'll go away if we keep staring at it.
Yes. Yes, it will.